Today we're going to talk about shipping trees. So I have a few different trees in different stages right here, and we're going to look at the ones that are good, the ones that are so-so, and the ones that are really unacceptable. So I want to show you what a quality tree is first. So the things that I'm looking for when shipping a quality potted tree, it's going to be basically a straight tree that goes from the bottom where the soil level is. And speaking of soil level, the soil level needs to be a little bit below the tip of the pot right here. Not too low, not too high at this stage. When you barely transplant the tree, the soil level is going to be higher, but as you water more and more, the soil is going to compact and lower down, but not too far down from this board over here. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to look at the root, and to do that, the way that we do it is we put it in our hand. The plant goes through the middle of your fingers, and you gently tap the pot so you can lift it up without removing any soil. In this case, there is nice fibrous roots showing on the outside of the soil. That's what you want to see. You don't want to pull the pot and half of the soil falls off because there's not enough root. In this case, the roots go from all the way from the top all the way to the bottom of the pot. This is exactly what you're looking for when looking at a good quality roots. The more roots, usually the better. The next thing is going to be, is the plant completely straight all the way up? Was the plant staked and taped in the correct positions? And this one is, so you can look and it's straight. In this case, this is a very young tree, so you see it's still green stem. Even though the green stem is not always going to be green, as it gets a little bit older, it does get some brown on it, but that's not a problem. But it is nicer when you can ship at this stage when it's still like this nice green stem. It's a much healthier looking tree. The trees right now, it's dormant, but throughout the year it's not going to be dormant. It's going to have leaves, it's going to have branches, and that's another thing that you're going to have to look at is, does it have nice branching all the way down, or at least down to at least 18 inch in the middle of the plant. So you don't want things just up here, which I'm going to show you on the next trees over here, what we're looking for. So when I look at the buds down the line of the plant, I see that every bud here is green and alive and is going to push really, really well. So this is what you're looking for when shipping, when growing, when loading a quality potted tree. Okay, of course, during the spring and the rest of the month is going to look different because they're going to have leaves and branches. Right now, the tree is dormant, so it's just a stick for now. All right, now let's look at things that are not that good. So if I look at this tree, it's relatively straight, so that part is there. When I look at the roots, this one is very well rooted, a little too much because it got all the way to the bottom of the pot. We don't really want to get to this point, so we want to ship trees like this before they get too old. That's another thing as well. Always ship the oldest trees first so they don't get too old. But this one got too old and the roots went past the bottom of the pot. We don't really want that because now you're going to have to cut this. It's going to be really difficult to remove this plant from the pot, but we can do that with a gently tap. The roots are not bad right now. It's just that part that got stuck on the bottom of the pot. But the plant is relatively straight. It has a very good caliper. However, when you look at up here, and it's a little bit harder to keep this one standing up, but when you look at up here, it has this, what we call a claw up here. And what causes this is if the plants grew in an ambient with very low light and even low airflow, all of the buds that would push from down here, they end up dying, and the plant tries to push more and more up here where the plants get light. So if you look at this portion over here, as they are all close together, there is plenty of space in between them because we only have now one tray wide, and that allows the plant to have a lot of light throughout the tree. But in the past, if you grew them what we call can tight, which is the pots all together, it would shade out, especially during spring and summer when all of the leaves start growing. All of this shade the plants that are on the inside of the bed. Those, the bud is going to die, and now all of the live and viable buds are going to be up here where the plant is going to start pushing. This is not good, because if your customer in the field top this, if they cut this piece off, now this tree is not going to survive, because they cut the only part of the tree that had viable buds for the rest of the tree to keep growing. And anything down here, it's not going to grow. So be careful with that. Make sure that throughout the year, while you're growing the plant, that there's enough sunlight and air movement around the plant so all of the buds can stay alive and happy. Because there's not much you can do after you are at this stage other than talk to the grower and make sure that they let the plant grow first and then try to start pruning, but it's not a very good tree for us to ship. The next one that it's not very good would be something like this. So if you look at this plant, it has a lot of crookedness, so it's not really straight. There is a lot of kinks in between all of the different sections of the plant. This, it's a sign that it wasn't really tied or staked on time, and later on we're trying to just catch up, but now the plant is already hardened off, and it's really, really hard to do this. So the best thing to prevent stuff like this is make sure that you are staking and tying the plant while they're still nice and soft and green like the first plant that I showed you, okay? This is not a good quality plant, and this is not really what we would like to send to our customers. The next one over here is even worse. So this one is a completely unacceptable tree. It has this 90-degree elbow down here, which follows exactly the same problem as the previous tree, which it didn't get staked on time, so the tree grew up to here, and then it pushed sideways, and then later on we tried to tie it, and it was too late. Okay, so you don't want to ship this either when you are looking at plants. Now, this one is another problem that you're going to see. I don't know if you can see from the camera, but first of all, there's roots coming out of the pot. That means that this plant is really, really old. There were soil in between the plants, and the roots kept growing. You do not want that. And the other problem is there is not a lot of soil in the pot, so the roots are now exposed. So when the roots are like this, there's not much you can do, because you can add soil in here just to keep the plant in the nursery, but the roots are not going to grow into that soil because roots grow down, not up. And even though you put soil to cover this to keep the plant protected, as soon as you ship to your customer, they're going to remove from the pot, and all of that soil that is loose on top is going to fall off, and the customer, number one, is going to see this, and they're going to have to plant an ugly tree like this. So let's make sure that we keep the water level, the irrigation level, with low pressure so we don't lose a lot of this soil. Make sure that we remove weeds on time so there's not a lot of weed roots that you have to remove, because when you remove older weeds that already established their roots, you're going to pull a lot of that soil out of that pot. So this is the good quality tree all the way to the unacceptable tree when you're shipping a potted tree. So let's make sure that we grow more and more of the good quality tree and not at all of the bad quality trees. Thank you very much.